Hi, we're the Fuzzy Pickles group. I'm Christian Norton.
I'm Rachel Cezek. I'm Janae Mutertees.
I'm Stephen Julian.
I'm Heather Larson.
And I'm Tiffany Putsey.
Welcome to the Arboretum. The Arboretum is a place where one can go to watch ecology at work. There are many types of plants that inhabit the Arboretum. Some of them are indigenous, while others have been introduced by humans. Today we'll be focusing on a number of plant species that inhabit the Arboretum and how they interact with each other and the environment around them. In the process, we will attempt to examine traits and behaviors that show how these plants are able to survive in the climate and conditions provided by the Arboretum. We will also examine interspecific competition between plants in the Arboretum in addition to possible predation that occurs on these plants. These processes are important because they contribute to dispersal of seeds. We'll be focusing on ants as the major source of this dispersal and predation, although other predators do exist. By examining a number of plants, we hope to better understand the underlying ecological dynamics that dictate life within the Arboretum.
These are the Narcissus Las Vegas, also known as daffodil. There are 20 to 400 daffodil species. Originally, daffodils are native to Southwest Europe and North Africa, specifically Spain and Portugal. They prefer loamy, slight acidic soil, and they can handle full or partial sun. These are the Liberty Bells, another type of daffodil flower. As you can see, there are a lot of daffodils spread the Arboretum, which leads me into their birth, death, and movement. Seeds are dispersed by bulb multiplication. Daffodils do not produce seeds, but a regular daffodil can take 5 to 7 years to grow from a seed. Usually they bloom in April or May, and the flowering season can be anywhere from 6 weeks to 8 months.
Hi, I was just looking for some flowers to make a nice little crown out of when I found these bloodroots. Bloodroots are perennial plants and generally bloom in the early spring. They like to grow in rich organic soil in shady woodlands and in places such as along the roadside. While it can grow in direct sunlight, most really thrive in the shade. This flower is common in the eastern half of North America, from Nova Scotia to Manitoba, and from Florida to as far west as Arkansas. The bloodroot is susceptible to Cercospora leaf spot, which is a fungus that colonizes leaf tissue, creating brown spots, and eventually causes the leaves to fall off. Something that is pretty unique about the bloodroot is the way the seeds are dispersed. Bloodroots are in a mutualistic relationship with winnow ants. The ants feed on the fleshy organ, the elastosome, found in the seeds, and after they are brought to their nest, the rest of the seed is left in the nest debris where they are able to germinate. The seeds benefit from growing in a rich medium such as the nest debris.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Would you like to hear about the cardinal flower? Well, I'll tell you anyways. Many species have evolved physical, chemical, morphological, and/or behavioral defenses against being attacked. The cardinal flower uses a battery of chemical defenses. All of its parts are toxic. Since these toxins are produced and present in their tissues at all times, this makes them constitutive chemicals. They can induce symptoms including nausea, vomiting, exhaustion, weakness, and the toxic principles are alkaloids, lobelamine, lobeline, and others including volatile oil.
And beside these silver bells, we have coltsfoot. Coltsfoot is a low-growing succulent perennial. It reproduces by seed and by its horizontally spreading white roots. Coltsfoot flowers are among the earliest to appear in the spring. They emerge long before the leaves, sometimes blooming in February and rarely later in April. Coltsfoot reproduces mainly by its perennial root system. Originally a European plant, coltsfoot arrived in North America with the early New England settlers. It now grows from Quebec to Minnesota and south to Pennsylvania and Ohio. Coltsfoot prefers cool, damp clay soil but can also grow in full sunlight. It grows along stream banks and dirt roads on shaly cliffs and waste places, and it seems to thrive around dumps and landfills where other little where little other vegetation can survive. Because of its perennial root system, coltsfoot can spread over large area of ground, as you can see, often covering whole red side banks with a thick mat of leafy growth. Such growth is useful in preventing soil erosion, but it can be a nuisance if the weed becomes established in a perennial garden. Coltsfoot has been used for more than 2,000 years as a treatment for throat and lung ailments, including bronchitis, asthma, and chronic cough. Coltsfoot generally achieves its highest density in disturbed areas and does not persist past early succession. In its North American range, coltsfoot is frequently documented in early successional plant communities or disturbed areas. Coltsfoot is considered a weak competitor. Coltsfoot cover apparently declines over time with increased vegetation density and cover. In previous studies that have been done with coltsfoot, coltsfoot cover decreased on reclaimed soil heaps as woody vegetation increased during 35 years.
And here we can see the Virginia bluebells. As you can see, some of them are already in bloom, while others have yet to bloom. The Virginia bluebell, there's at least 18 species within North America. It has a very unique way of signaling pollinators. When the flower is ready for pollination, it changes its alkalinity in its petals to blue, as you can see, which gives it its characteristic name, Virginia bluebell. The blue color is much more attractive to pollinators and signals more rapid dispersal. The Virginia bluebell is a spring ephemeral of forests and moist woodlands. It can be found carpeting the first forest floor with blue flowers. Bluebells are commonly found growing along rivers and floodplains where flooding and sedimentation provide an ideal environment. Bluebells are unique because they provide a valuable source of early season nectar and pollen source for bees. This is because the flowering occurs very early in the season, mid-spring, April, and into May. The bluebells outcompete other flowers in the area because they grow so early and emerge so quickly. Its foliage is highly deer resistant, so deer populations have little impact, as well as other grazing predators.
And now we're going to talk about the wild bleeding hearts. This plant, as you can see over here, also goes by the name of turkey corn and raging hearts. They bloom in early spring and provide much needed nectar for native bumblebees, whose tongues are long enough to reach this vital food source. They also provide nectar for migrating hummingbirds at a time when not much else is in bloom for them to feed on. They have seeds that are dispersed by ants. Dicentrous seeds are coated in a sticky substance called elazium, which is quite attractive to ants. Elazium contains lipids and fats, which are an important food source for ants. The ants carry dicentrous seeds back to their nest to eat the elazium. The seeds are then left to germinate in the trash heap at the ant's nest. This is very smart on the ant's part. By making the elazium attractive to ants, they are assured that the seeds will be spread far and wide and that the plant will happily propagate itself in these new locations.
So, how do all these seeds get around? Ants! In the Arboretum, there's one species of ants that is special for this area, and they're called winnow ants. Let's go find them. Epanogasteroides is a specialized ant species in the Arboretum. They prefer to nest in decomposing stumps and logs. If they need to, though, they can build their homes in open soil, beneath rocks, and even in human garbage. They live in families of up to about 2,000 workers in one team. They are mostly found in the woods of the eastern United States. There are 3 other meta-populations of Epanogasteroides ants that have been found to be spread along the east coast of the United States. Some plants produce seeds with a special coating called an elaiosome. Winnow ants are very attracted to this coating. The winnow ants will take these seeds back to their nests and feed on the coating, but unlike squirrels or other seed-eating animals, the ants do not eat the inner portion of the seed. Rather, they drag the seed off and deposit it on the forest floor. Up to 2/3 of herb seeds that are found in the wild are picked up by winnow ants, eaten, and deposited elsewhere. Without this mechanism of dispersal for plants in the forest, wildflower abundance has been found to drop by 50%. Floral diversity has also increased when these populations of ants exist. Average foraging times of 30 minutes were found in these ant populations. These short foraging times allow the ants to be unspecialized when it comes to picking their food. These ants also release a trail pheromone when they find a good source of nutrition to help the other ants get there. Winnow ants are able to tolerate above ground temperatures up to negative 15 degrees Celsius, which allows them to outcompete other ant populations by starting earlier than the others in the spring. The Aerotis queen is also able to begin oogenesis at a wide temperature distribution, allowing it to outcompete other ant species as well. One competitive disadvantage that Aphanagester rudis has is that they are not sexually productive unless the ant colony has 1,000 workers in it.
Bulb scale mite, narcissal I don't know these words!
Find it? Nice.
If you don't...
Oh, I didn't see you guys.
Ants! In the Arboretum, there's one species.
Oh, I think it's going.
Okay.
Wait, do I press this button?
No, you just press that.
Okay, we're going.
Okay, well, hey, hi there. Today we're going to